Hi folks, welcome back to the channel, and let's dive right in today. And today's subject is retirement. And you know what the top 5 things are that retirees regret when they retire? Well, there's a lot more than just 5. Let's just put it that way. And it also is going to vary a great deal on each individual. But what I've got for you today is 5 common issues that retirees come up with when they start thinking about retirement, particularly after they have already entered retirement. Now, my name is Chris. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. I hope you will like and subscribe this video. Go back and look at some of the previous videos that we have here on the channel. I'm sure you'll find some good nuggets of information on there that can propel you into your financial future, financial freedom, if you would like to call it that. But yeah, let's dive right into this subject. And this is a subject that I think should be dear to all of us. And it's irrelevant whether you live in the United States, in Canada, Australia, Germany, wherever in the world that you live. Your retirement, your future, your golden years, as some people might call it, are very important. And a lack of planning is probably the number one thing that retirees regret the most. In the lack of planning, by that I mean that they have various things that they felt after they have retired that they should have considered previously. And in some instances, perhaps years before they actually retired, they felt that, you know, gosh, I wish I'd have thought about this 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 30 years ago, and you know, and dependent upon what the issue is and the individual. But let's just cover a couple of them. And like I say, these are in no particular order. I've got 5 written down here that are important to consider. Things that are not necessarily your top 5 or my top 5. But these are 5 things that, again, a lot of retirees look back, you know, years after they felt that, gosh, I really should have done this earlier. And let's just take these, and again, in no particular order, right? They've retired too early. Gosh, you think, how could you retire too early? Well, maybe you can retire too early. And likewise, the flip side of that equation is you retire too late. And let's talk about that for just a moment. In respect to retiring too early, some people, you know, they've done well financially, they've made a great career, they've invested their monies well. They have a very substantial nest egg of financial wherewithal put aside. And they say, you know what, yeah, I'm 50 or I'm 40 or whatever the case may be age-wise, but I feel like I want to retire. I'm tired of the rat race. I really want to just do what I want to do when I want to do it and not be told I can't by a boss, right? And even if you are an entrepreneur or you own your own business, there comes a time when you think, gosh, I really just would like to have more free time. And so you move towards that retirement. And again, early retirement, not saying it's bad or good, it's a personal situation, a personal decision. Certainly that decision is or can be driven by your hopes, dreams, and desires, right? Right. So that's fine and well. Let's talk about retiring late. There are those people that are just totally driven by careers, shall we say. They have an upward mobility mindset. They really want to excel at everything they do. They can't foresee ever stopping work. right? And it doesn't matter if they own their own business or they work in a corporate environment, but they can't see themselves ever retiring because that is their career is them. That is their personification in a nutshell is their career, their job, what they do for income, what they do for a living. It could go as far as to say that their self-worth is in their job, right? So those are late retirees, shall we say. And even those folks, they come to a point where, just like the early retirees, they think, maybe this wasn't such a great decision. You know, the early retirees are saying, gosh, I've got free time and now I kind of don't really know what to do, and I really kind of miss work and the job and the perks of the job, the people I worked with, that sort of thing. Similarly, the late retirees are like, gosh, I wish I had done this earlier in my life so that I would have had more free time. I could have spent more time with family, with friends, doing experiential type of vacations and things like that, where you just get on a plane and fly somewhere and spend a month and not worry about whether or not your boss was going to miss you on Monday morning come 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, right? So that's one of the big things that people regret as retirees, both early as well as late retirees. Another thing that retirees regret, and again, this is something that can be the case for both early and late retirees, and that's financial planning. Excuse me. A lot of times people are driven by, what can I get with my next paycheck? So it's not just about putting groceries on the table or, prescriptions in the medicine cabinet if you have a cold or something along those lines. It's more driven about gaming systems, really fancy computers, home computers, expensive cars, fishing boats. In certain parts of the world, in certain parts of the United States, fishing boats are, they're a big thing. And if you really want to stand out from the crowd, you get the biggest, baddest, most expensive bass boat you can purchase. And that's what people do. It could be a fancy set of golf clubs, really expensive furniture, things of those types of items, shall I say. Another thing about not having good financial or retirement planning from a financial standpoint is not doing any at all. Excuse me. Again, there are folks that they will look at their income and say, hey, I'm going to save 10%, I'm going to put it in the bank. Well, okay, you can put it in the bank, but are you just putting it in a savings account that's paying like nothing? Or are you investing it into a retirement fund or a mutual fund or something along those lines where you're going to get some growth as well as some capital gains and income from that in future years? I hope that you are. A lot of retirees have not done that. There are retirees of a certain age that was not part of their education growing up, either from a family member or in school, whether that be high school or college or trade school or something along those lines. They didn't necessarily learn financial planning and investments in school in a formal environment. So definitely a regret for a lot of people that they did not plan well or at all or sooner at best, right? A third one is not planning for retirement activities. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm just going to sleep all day and I'm going to get up at noon and maybe go to the beach if I live in a particular part of the world where beaches are close. I'm going to go play golf. I'm going to play golf every day. Go play tennis every day. I'm just gonna putter around in my yard, in my garden, and I'm gonna grow vegetables, and those are all great activities, but do you really think you can golf every day, all day long? Do you really think that you can just putter around in your yard every day, all day long? Common sense would tell you that you're gonna get bored pretty easily and pretty quickly. Whether you're an early or a late retiree, those types of activities are great. They're enjoyable for a lot of people. But if you're only looking at doing one or two different types of things in retirement, you're going to very quickly wish you had never retired. You're going to be looking for a part-time job, or you're going to call your former employer and go, hey, could I just come back at a lesser pay because I really missed the job? Okay. Things like that can be detrimental to you enjoying your retirement, and it doesn't really matter when you retire, but if you don't plan for that, then you're going to regret it. So start very, very early looking at the things that you would really like to do in retirement. Again, gardening, puttering around in the yard, playing tennis, playing golf, spending time with friends and family. Those are just a few of the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, of the types of activities that you can do as a retiree. You want to have a whole playlist full of activities so that you will never get bored. You might get a little bored occasionally, but you just pull out your handy dandy list and go, hey, let's look at number 42 on the list today. What is number 42? Or it's crafting. Let's go do crafting. Let's go to the hobby store and get some things, and we'll come back home and we'll create some really nifty things to give as birthday gifts to the grandkids, or something along those lines. Another one that is on the list is not planning for downsizing when you retire. Now, I'm a real estate agent in my real job, so to speak. And I'm not just referencing, and this does not just reference downsizing the type of house that you have or wherever you live. If you own a home, this is not just, hey, let's go sell our 4,000 square foot home and buy a 2,000 square foot home. It can be, and certainly that's something to consider. But downsizing also has a lot to do with the rest of your stuff, right? All the things that are in all those bedrooms and all the stuff that's in your garage and your living room and your kitchen. I mean, how many pots and pans do you really need in order to cook a couple of meals, right? Particularly if you're retired, you may rather not cook at all, in which case you don't need as many pots and pans and forks and spoons and knives and all that kind of stuff, right? So downsizing is more than just selling the bigger home and buying a smaller one. For some people, downsizing might mean selling the bigger home and renting an apartment simply because you don't like yard work anymore. You want to be able to not worry about the grass getting, up to your waist while you're in Thailand for a month on vacation scuba diving. So downsizing can mean a lot of things. It can be your house again. It can also be your kitchen items. It can just be stuff. Maybe you've got 14 pairs of shoes and 10 pairs of blue jeans. How many of those do you really wear on a regular basis? My guess is you probably wear 2 or 3 pairs of blue jeans. You probably wear about a handful, maybe 4 or 5 different pairs of shoes during the week. The rest is it's just sitting taking up space in your closet, right? So you can downsize your clothes as well. So you don't probably want to do that when you've got a very limited amount of time as a retiree, especially an older retiree. If you face situations that may require you going into some type of a living environment where you need assistance, you don't necessarily have the ability to just keep and maintain all of that stuff, right? So Downsizing your home is one thing that you might consider. Your lifestyle as well. Do you really need subscriptions to all of those websites that you pay for? Do you really need all those subscriptions for paid television, for things of that nature? Do you really read all those digital magazines that you subscribe to for 10 or 20 or 30 bucks a year, right? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But those are things to consider when you start looking at downsizing your home and your lifestyle, things that you can consider that will make life a little less hectic and a little more leisurely as you get more into retirement, right? Okay. The last one I'm going to touch on for this video is and can be important for your quality of life, particularly as you get to be an older retiree. And it doesn't mean that you necessarily retire late and you didn't do this, or you retired early and you never thought about it, but that's building and maintaining relationships early enough that as you retire, those relationships just become stronger. Okay. Now this can be hard to do if you are looking at retiring and then moving away from the area where you are currently living or you're living in at the time that you retire. So if your plan is to move from where you are now to a location far, far away, in a place where you don't necessarily know anyone, that's one thing. It's hard not to maintain relationships when you stay in the area. I mean, unless you just totally like ignore everybody you ever knew and you stay where you are when you retire and you don't move, that's one thing. It's a different thing if you're moving to a different location or if you're a different country or a different state in the United States and you really want to just try a different place out. That's fine. You can still have long distance friends and relationships, right? That's not a problem. You can certainly do that. So anyway, that's it for this video. Just a little food for thought, some things that are common that retirees regret. The last comment that I would tell you is that regardless of when you are going to retire, whether that's next month, next year, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, retirement planning from all aspects should be done as early as possible. It is actually preferential if you make retirement planning a lifelong activity, okay? So 20, 30 years of age, if you're starting to already think about retirement, what you want to do, what are your hobbies, what are things that you really enjoy doing, and those things change as you age for various reasons, but start thinking about them early, because years from now, if you have that luxury, you will have developed a lot of relationships, a lot of things that you enjoy doing. You will have taken care of financial planning for your retirement to a large extent if you begin early and you invest regularly, okay? That can lead to situations where you can become a multimillionaire, potentially. I'm not going to say you will, but potentially, by the time you're ready to retire. So if you do that, you're going to find that your retirement, whether you are an earlier retirement or a late retirement type of person, you will enjoy so much better than you would have otherwise. So gang, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got some good information out of it. Please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It helps the algorithm out, as everybody on YouTube says. And I'd also love to hear your comments. If you have some anecdotes or some stories that you'd like to put in the comment section below the video, by all means, please do. I try to answer those questions if you have them, and I hope to see you guys on the next video. So until then, have a great rest of your day, week, and we'll see you then. Bye.